Hello everyone. In today's lecture we will talk about a drug which has been recently approved by a drug controller in India to treat COVID-19 patients, and that is 2-deoxyglucose, which is a very old molecule, and we will talk about its mechanism of action. In fact, there are multiple ways 2-deoxyglucose can inhibit a cell growth. Then we'll talk about similarity between cancer and COVID infected cells. Similarity because 2-deoxyglucose is known to inhibit growth of a cancer cell in vitro. So there must be some similarity with the cancer cell, the biochemistry of cancer cell, as well as biochemical reactions occurring in COVID-19 infected, the SARS coronavirus 2 infected cells. So we'll talk about their similarity in biochemical reactions, and also 2DG is also used in scanning presence of cancer in PET scan. So we'll talk about that basic of this scan as well. And it has been observed that this new coronavirus, SARS coronavirus 2, it reprograms host cell to favor its own replication and budding. So we'll see those reactions as well, and how one of the questions have been how this 2-deoxyglucose could be specific to only coronavirus infected cells, because it's like a poison. It blocks glycolysis is production of energy. So if normal cell absorb 2-deoxyglucose, it may kill normal cell as well, but that's not the case. This 2DG molecule is highly specific to cancer as well as COVID-19 infected cell, the coronavirus infected cell, that also we'll talk in this lecture. So recently, drug controller government of India has approved this drug to treat the COVID-19 patients, and it has been found by clinical trials conducted by DRDO and a private laboratory at Hyderabad that this drug, when it's given to the patient, it reduces the hospital time and also reduces oxygen dependence of patients. Although this is just a press information release from Press Information Bureau of Government of India. The clinical trials have not yet been seen. The publication has not been seen in scientific journal, because when a drug is approved, before that the clinical trials are published in some scientific journal, and those all findings, they are evaluated by the journal staff, and then it's published and accepted. So once this is published in some scientific journal, then it will be more clear how this drug may be acting and what kind of effects is showing on the patients during clinical trials. So first of all, this is not a drug. Drug is something which is approved by an agency and prescribed. So far, it has not been approved. This is the first time that's being approved by a drug controller and is being accepted as a drug. Before that, it has not been accepted, although it is known to inhibit cancer growth in vitro. Clinical trials were conducted, but it was not found to be very strong to be used as a drug against cancer. And in fact, one of the derivative of 2-deoxyglucose is called fluorodeoxyglucose, that is used in diagnostics, that's used to diagnose cancer in PET scan. And then when a drug is made for some purpose and you use it for another purpose, that's called basically drug repurposing. For example, 2-deoxyglucose, it was known to inhibit cancer, although it's not been approved finally to be used as a drug, but clinical trials have been conducted on this against cancer. And now using this drug for COVID-19 patients, that's one example of drug repurposing. So it's already there. And advantage of this method of drug exploring is that the drug, some criteria, some findings on the drugs are always available. For example, in this particular case of 2-deoxyglucose, under clinical trials, it was found that around 40 to 60 mg per kg per day you can give to normal people. It will not have toxic effect. Generally, when you find a drug, it has to go through several stages of clinical trials. The very first step of clinical trials is where you evaluate whether how much is the tolerance of the drug to normal people, because it's a foreign compound. When you give it beyond a limit, it proved to be toxic. Any compound, foreign compound, is toxic beyond a limit. So that limit is found out, the therapeutic window is found out in the first stage of clinical trials. And for deoxyglucose, it is already known that 40 to 60 mg per kg per day is tolerable by the healthy people. There is no side effect. So that way, using drug repurposing approach for finding drugs is advantageous, that you already know some criteria, so some time can be shortened in that way. In fact, many people had been talking about this drug. In 2006, there was one research article where 2-deoxyglucose was found to have anti-cancer as antiviral therapeutic agent also. Similarly, in 2008, it was found to be inhibiting HIV replication as well, and also other fusogenic viruses, for example, SARS coronavirus, which fuse with the membrane and infect the cell. So it's been already proposed, people knew it, that it may have potential to inhibit virus replication as well, along with the cancer progression. Similarly, recently it has been found that if you add some other drug with this compound, it may work as anti-cancer agent. Alone, it was not found to be sufficient to be used as a drug. But now people are thinking, because it's a very potent molecule and also very highly specific to cells which grow rapidly, for example, cancer cells. So that's why now people are trying to use some other compound along with 2-deoxyglucose, so it can form a chemotherapeutic cocktail in order to treat cancer. So that's the current status of 2-deoxyglucose as anti-cancer agent. Before we talk about mechanism, just have some idea about cellular respiration, the biochemistry. Cellular respiration is basically oxidation of glucose into carbon dioxide and water, and liberation of energy in form of ATP molecule. There are 3 stages of cellular respiration. In stage 1, glucose is converted into pyruvic acid, that's called glycolysis. 2 ATP molecules are synthesized, and this pyruvic acid is oxidized into acetyl coenzyme A and then enter into second stage of cellular respiration, and that's a Krebs cycle or TCA cycle, where again 2 more ATP molecules are liberated from 1 molecule of glucose along with 2 molecules of carbon dioxide. And then the electrons from stage 1 and 2, they are transported through electron transport system, that's called electron transport chain, and that forms third level of cellular respiration, where most of the energy is produced in form of ATP. So one glucose produces more than 25 ATP molecule at the third stage of cellular respiration, and this is the only stage where oxygen is utilized and is reduced into water. In turn, you have production of ATP molecule. So in case of cancer, what happens that glucose, the entry of pyruvate into Krebs cycle is stopped because of lack of oxygen. We'll see that in case of cancer, oxygen is not sufficient. So glycolysis keep producing more and more ATP molecules. So cells become highly glycolytic. So they are more rapid rate of glycolysis, breakdown of glucose into pyruvic acid. So glucose and 2-deoxyglucose. So this is the structure of a glucose molecule, and in deoxyglucose the only difference you have at the second position. This is position number 1, carbon 2. At second position you have lack of oxygen, you have only hydrogen atoms. So that's why you call it 2-deoxyglucose. Similarly, there is one derivative of 2-deoxyglucose is called fluorodeoxyglucose. In fact, 18-fluorodeoxyglucose, where this proton, this hydrogen atom, is replaced by one fluorine atom. And the structure otherwise is very similar structure all these 3 compounds have. And glucose is absorbed by the cell using transporter, you call them glucose transporter or GLUT. So these GLUTs, they cannot differentiate between glucose and 2-deoxyglucose or fluorodeoxyglucose. In fact, when any of these compound is there in the blood, it will be absorbed into the cell, it will be transported through the same receptor, And inside, when they enter into the cell, they enter into the cascade of biochemical reactions of glycolysis. So for example, if you remember the first and second reaction of glycolysis where glucose is oxidized, so glucose is first converted to glucose 6-phosphate by an enzyme called hexokinase. So hexokinase take one phosphate group from ATP and it transfer to the sixth position on glucose to form glucose 6-phosphate. This glucose 6-phosphate is isomerized into fructose 6-phosphate by enzyme phosphoglucose isomerase, and that's the second reaction of glycolysis. But when 2-deoxyglucose is available, it enters into the cell through the same receptor as glucose molecule do. This also acted upon by hexokinase in the same way, because first property of hexokinase is that it has a very broad specificity. It cannot differentiate. In fact, is a hexose. Any hexose can be acted upon by this enzyme. If you have mannose, fructose, or glucose, they all will be converted into their respective phosphorylated form. Similarly, because 2-deoxyglucose is also very similar to glucose, so that is also work as a substrate for hexokinase due to its broader specificity. And 2-deoxyglucose is converted into 2-deoxyglucose phosphate, where phosphate is added at the sixth position. But in the second reaction, where phosphoglucose isomerase convert this into fructose form, that is not possible, because the phosphoglucose isomerase basically put keto group here, C double bond group here at second position, but at the second position already there is a hydrogen atom, there is no oxygen. So oxidation of this position does not occur, isomerization does not occur. That's why phosphoglucose isomerase cannot convert 2-deoxyglucose phosphate into fructose form. Rather, 2-DG phosphate work as a competitive inhibitor for phosphoglucose isomerase. So it binds to the active site of phosphoglucose isomerase and stop the enzymatic reaction in a competitive fashion. So it means the reaction cannot proceed further. Glucose cannot be converted eventually to pyruvate. The second mode of its action is that it inhibits hexokinase. How does it inhibit hexokinase? The second property, another property of hexokinase is that it is inhibited by its own product. When product is in high concentration, for example, glucose 6-phosphate, when the concentration accumulate in the cell, so it is stop hexokinase by product inhibition method. Similarly, when 2-DG phosphate is accumulated in the cell because it's not going in the forward direction, phosphoglucose isomerase is not taking up, is not accepting it as a substrate. So 2-D-glucose phosphate accumulate in the cell, its concentration increases, and the increased concentration inhibit hexokinase using a mechanism of product inhibition. So in that way, 2-deoxyglucose inhibit both enzymes, both key enzymes of glycolysis, hexokinase and phosphoglucose isomerase, so that glycolysis cannot proceed in the forward direction. Glucose cannot oxidize, and when glucose cannot oxidize, energy will not be available for cell to perform work and cell death would occur. That's one mechanism. Second, along with the stopping glycolysis, oxidation of glucose, 2-DG, in fact 2-FDG, fluoroderivative also, they also inhibit glycosylation of proteins. Glycosylation is basically a mechanism where sugar molecules are added in a sequence on the surface of a protein. For example, in case of N-link glycosylation, the asparagine amino acid on proteins on the surface that is linked to various sugar moieties which are exposed to the surface, and these sugar moieties which are exposed through glycosylation synthesized, so they are required for stability of the protein folding and stability and function. So because 2-DG or 2-fluoro-DG, they have similar structure as glucose, and glucose is also an enomer of mannose. So mannose, glucose, they are anomeric structure, they are very similar structure. Hence 2-DG and 2-FDG, they are also similar to mannose. So they inhibit one of the key enzyme of glycosylation synthesis, and that is GDP manure synthase. So GDP manure synthase is inhibited by both these 2-FDG and 2-DG. That's why glycosylation cannot occur. So proteins, in fact, coronavirus protein, the surface protein is highly glycosylated. If you can stop glycosylation of this protein, it won't be stable. And the same thing also must be happening in the cell, in the host cell. When virus particles are being synthesized, their protein, the surface protein, need to get glycosylated. Glycosylation occurs in endoplasmic reticulum, where several glucose sugar molecules are attached in a sequential way on the surface of the protein. So if this process is stopped, protein cannot be glycosylated. And the proteins are not glycosylated, means unfolded protein response pathway will get activated. It's called UPR pathway, and that also lead to cell death. So this is another way a cell death may occur in presence of 2-deoxyglucose or in any derivative of 2-deoxyglucose, in fact. The third possible mechanism of action of 2-deoxyglucose is, we know that hexokinase is a target for 2-DG. So when hexokinase is not available, is not acting, glucose 6-phosphate will not be available. And this glucose 6-phosphate, along with being used in glycolysis pathway, is also required in another pathway which is called pentose phosphate pathway, where glucose 6-phosphate enter into this pathway and eventually ribose 5-phosphate is synthesized. All these pathways we have discussed earlier in some lectures in biochemistry. So ribose 5-phosphate is synthesized, and ribose sugar, we know they are required in nucleotide synthesis. And virus also require, in fact, any dividing cell, when a cell divide, it need to replicate its genome. For replicating genome, you require nucleotides. So nucleotides, they come from this pathway, pentose phosphate pathway. Similarly, when virus is inside a cell, and that is also replicating its genome, so that also require this host pathway in order to produce nucleotides in the cell, which can be used for replicating its own genome to form more virus particles from the cell. So that may be the third mechanism how 2-deoxyglucose must be inhibiting SARS coronavirus replication in the cell. And if you put them all together, 2-deoxyglucose enter through GLUT transporters. After entering inside, it is converted by hexokinase to 2-DG6-phosphate, which is used in HMP, hexose monophosphate pathway, or pentose phosphate pathway, same thing. And is being also used in glycolysis to give energy, but when 2-DG is there, glycolysis is stopped. Similarly, HMP pathway, pentose phosphate pathway, is also blocked. As a result, energy is not available to the cell. Energy is required for different biosynthetic reaction. When virus replicates, that also require energy. So that energy comes from glycolysis. So when glycolysis has stopped, means this virus also cannot replicate. Energy requirement will not be fulfilled in that way. Similarly, when 2-DG is there, that inhibit N-glycosylation in endoplasmic reticulum. So that leads to endoplasmic reticulum stress, ATP depletion, no nucleotide, no DNA, RNA synthesis, and that eventually leads to cell death. So that's how cell must be dying. In fact, in case of cancer as well as in case of coronavirus infected cell, it may adopt a similar mechanism in that way. And recently it has been seen that HeLa cells, they become resistant to 2-DG. When 2-DG is injected, they don't die, and it has been found that one of the phosphatase become activated in these cells which are resistant, and that phosphatase basically convert 2-DG6-phosphate to 2-DG back. That's why HeLa cell which are resistant, they can tolerate 2-DG. In fact, it may happen in future for other cells also, but so far only HeLa cell in culture medium, they have been found to be resistant, having this phosphatase present in those cells, being expressed in those cells. So one of the derivative of 2-DG is fluorodeoxyglucose, that is used as a in PET scan as radio tracer to detect cancer. So in fact, FDG also, like glucose, enter through GLUT transporter into the cell. After entering inside, FDG is converted to FDG6-phosphate like deoxyglucose does. And same way, because FDG 6-phosphate cannot enter into glycogen synthesis, cannot enter into HMP pathway for ribose synthesis, that also cannot further be taken up in glycolysis. So the concentration of FDG 6-phosphate increases in the cell. And this fluorine is a radioactive fluorine which gives signal. So in PET scan, this emission of positron by this fluorine, that is measured in the body, and wherever you have accumulation of this FDG 6-phosphate, you see high intensity spot. The signal is seen clearly wherever you have accumulation of this FDG 6-phosphate. And that occurs only in cancer cell. Why? Because cancer cell, they require high amount of glucose, that we'll see in the next slide. Normal cell also require glucose. Normal cell also will take up this compound inside. But in cancer cell, the compound concentration will be too much. When you compare with the background, nullifying the background from normal cell, you will see a clear spot. For example, here, a clear spot of positron being emitted from a specific tissue in the body. It means that is the tissue where cancer is lying. So that's how PET scan detect cancer, using this fluorine derivative of deoxyglucose. So in case of tumor cells, so what happens in how this tumor cell become more glycolytic? That is because when cancer progresses, cancer simply means, you can say, rapid growth of the cell. When the growth of cells is become rapid, and angiogenesis means the blood vessels are not sufficient to provide oxygen to those cells, means there is a lack of oxygen in these cells, and that lack of oxygen is called basically hypoxia. Hypoxia means oxygen is not available to the cell, and when hypoxia occurs, those cells, they induce expression of a protein, a transcription factor, that's called hypoxia induced factor 1, HIF1. So HIF1 increase in case of when there is a lack of oxygen. In presence of hypoxia, you have HIF1 expression more, and this HIF expression in the cell, that basically upregulate many enzymes of glycolysis, including the transporter of glucose, so like GLUT1 and GLUT3. So these are also increased in number in the cell. So you have in cancer cell, you will have many these GLUT transporters. Same time, many enzymes, these are hexokinase, phosphofructokinase, pyruvate kinase, and all other enzymes, they are increased in concentration. Their expression is increased, so they are more enzyme in comparison to a normal cell. The cell become more glycolytic. There are more enzymes of glycolysis. Same time, it can absorb more glucose from outside because there are more glucose transporter. And that's the reason in cancer cell you see very high intensity of this FDG, because along with glucose, FDG is also present in high concentration in the cancer cell, and that's because of presence of these glucose transporter due to HIF1. Similar thing happens in case of SARS coronavirus. Also, it's a paper of last year in Cell Metabolism, September 2020, in fact, where they have shown in monocytes and macrophages, they are most enriched immune system cell in lungs which fight coronavirus infection. And when coronavirus infection occur to the cell generate reactive oxygen species response. It's called ROS response. As a result of ROS response, HIF, again same HIF1 get activated, hypoxia induced factor 1, and rest of these reaction effect of HIF1 is the same what occurs in the cancer cell. Means the cell become more glycolytic, cell can absorb more glucose from outside, it has got overexpression of enzymes involved in glycolysis, so that more energy can be produced. And eventually in case of coronavirus, you have cytokine storm. Cytokine storm is basically its overactivity of immune system of the body, where the immune system cell, they start accumulating and they eventually destroy the tissues and cells, which finally leads to organ failure, and that occurs around 10 to 15% of the COVID infected patients, where to tackle this cytokine storm, steroids are given which can suppress immune system. That's why immune system of a patient become low when it's treated with steroid. Tocilizumab is another drug. In fact, it's an antibody of interleukin 6 that is also given to the patient in critical care to suppress the immune system, to control the cytokine storm. So at the level of glycolysis, the cancer cell and a SARS coronavirus infected cell, they behave similarly. That's why the same drug is effective in case of coronavirus infection as well. So if we summarize how SARS coronavirus 2 may be inducing anabolic reprogramming in the host cell. Virus enter into the cell. After entering, it activate PI3K pathway, it's phosphatidylinositol 3 kinase pathway, which eventually leads to expression of GLUT transporter. Glucose transporters are induced, they are more expressed in the cell so that more glucose can come inside, and same time it also enhances glycogenolysis. So stored glycogen in the cell is converted into glucose molecule, and that glucose molecule in fact here, and the glucose coming from outside, that enter into glycolysis. In glycolysis, pyruvate is formed. Pyruvate enter into citric acid cycle, and the intermediate of citric acid cycle, we know they are used in synthesis of lipids in lipogenesis. So lipids are synthesized as a result of infection of virus, and same time in glycolysis you have HMP pathway activated, where you have ribose 5-phosphates are also synthesized in high amount in the cell, which are required for nucleotide synthesis. And nucleotides and lipids, they are required for virus to survive in the cell and to form new virus particles. And that's what is desired. And when 2DG is given, these pathways are interrupted. When these pathways are interrupted, means cell also die along with the virus inside. And that's how 2DG may be acting as a drug to control SARS coronavirus infection. And in fact, recently, last year, it has been seen that 2DG is being proved that the cell which is infected by COVID, they are highly glycolytic. In fact, a patient, the PET scan and CT scan of a patient which was infected with coronavirus, it was checked, and it was found that in case of CT scan and FDG PET scan, they were similar results. They were similar spots were observed that further indicate, because we know that FDG accumulated in the cell where there is which are highly glycolytic, and similarly by PET scan, CT scan, it was seen the infected portion of the lungs. So it was concluded that the cells which are infected by SARS coronavirus, they are also highly glycolytic in nature. So that also proves that at glycolysis level, a cancer cell, a marker of cancer, diagnostic marker of cancer, it works same in case of coronavirus 2 infected cell as well. So they have a similar kind of biochemical reactions occurring at glycolysis level at least. So if we summarize, deoxyglucose inhibits glycolysis, that's how it acts as inducer of cell death. It also inhibits post-translational glycosylation. It inhibits pentose phosphate pathway, so no nucleotides are synthesized, and it is selective for cancer and COVID. In fact, any cell which is rapidly growing, 2DG, 2-deoxyglucose may act on all those cells which are rapidly growing, which have a rapid demand, high demand of glucose to survive, and eventually it may be causing to cell death. So those may be the possible mechanism how 2-deoxyglucose may be acting upon these cells from patient infected with coronavirus 2. More details I think will appear once DRDO publish those findings of clinical trials into some scientific journal.